So this is a quick how-to on building the blast walls out of plaster of Paris. You could do with a little mixing cup from the mess, a teaspoon, get yourself a paper cup as well, and you'll have the scales and the mould, and you need your plaster. So first thing to do is pop the bowl on the scales, press the tear button, that'll turn it on and turn it to 0, and then after that all you're looking to do is to decant in about 225 grams of the plaster of Paris powder.
Just pour in. Looks like it's quite a lot of powder in there. You think, oh, I'll never get the water in to mix it up with, but it does work, trust me. Let's do 10 to 20. Cool. A little bit of water then. Far easier to do it from a cup. You can just pour it straight on top, or make a little well, or whatever. And you're looking for about a 1:2 ratio. So when this gets to 330, 332, you're kind of good. Right, and give it a good mix. So, having watched a couple of YouTube videos and various other bits and pieces, you're looking for a sort of pancake batter consistency. It does tend to clump a little bit to begin with, so don't worry too much about that. Just make sure you're getting underneath and so you haven't got any dry lumps of powder left into it. And after a minute or two, it'll really start to come together. If you stop missing, you see, it starts to come missing. There's mold lumps fall out. There's mold too detail it really matter. If you don't have it, you've got lumps in there. You can see that. It's not too bad. If you think it is a little bit thick still, and I think that's probably just a tiny touch thick, just splash a tiny bit more water in. But don't put too much in, it's fairly, it'll go quite watery quite quickly, and you don't really need that. So based on an extensive experience of doing this 4 times, that looks about right. Don't wash that down the sink, but the world doesn't end if you just, and then pour it all in, give it a tap. Now the only thing you've got to watch here is that you're getting as much out of here as possible, because the little containers are just about the right size, so 2 containers full will do 1 blast wall. So if you leave too much in there, then you're getting a bit tight on space. So that's kind of about right. Once you've got that in, give it a little tap. The top bit seems to come out pretty well. More tapping required on the second one, but it comes out okay. You can move fairly rapidly on the second one. So again, tear the scales, comes back to 0. Get to the point where you're kind of there or thereabouts. People say that you need to worry about stirring it too vigorously and getting air bubbles in, but that doesn't seem to be the case. What I've done so far. Again, second pour. You can see it's a bit like sort of ice cream consistency. Give it a good tap. Yeah. Just all made. Yeah. Done it. As you can see, that double sort of 220 does give you a pretty good fill. one. Don't throw that down the sink. That just blocks it. Okay, so when you let it go off for about half an hour and it's kind of solid on top, it will feel a bit warm, probably a bit damp. You can then just sort of free it up by working your way around. Sometimes it sticks a bit more than others, but generally it's pretty good. Sometimes you get a bit of movement in it, other times it's not quite so much. And then get your fingers sort of underneath there, and then kind of ease it out a bit on the side, and then the other side. And just keep working at it. That'll start coming out, and then you can kind of flip it over. Use gravity to help it out a bit. It'll start pulling apart a bit there with the cardboard, but then once you get it back up that way, then pull it out, and you have yourself another blast wall.
So when you've popped it out, I would leave it overnight. That just allows it to properly go off. The trick then is to take it outside when you get to work and stick it on one of those mesh tables that's like a picnic bench outside. After a couple of days, it'll start to feel really dry and a lot lighter, and then it's good to go. The last thing is to stick in the plaque and the coin. I'll go through the plaque making in a separate video, but both of them, you can either stick them with Gorilla Glue or alternatively double-sided tape seems to work pretty well as well. But whichever you fancy, I'm sure will work very nicely. And yeah, they seem to stick pretty well.